Alright, welcome back to another, well, several gun builds in Modern Warfare. This is going to be a three-part kind of gun build. It's not going to show any gameplay like against bots or anything like that. It's just going to show you like the normal gun builds. And what I'm doing is kind of a bit of a throwback to, I don't know, when Modern Warfare was kind of first being released. And I wanted to go over a couple gun builds of the AK-47 to change it into different types of builds for it. To turn it into three different types of weapons or versions of the AK, or going off the AK platform. In Modern Warfare, unlike Cold War, Call of Duty Cold War, these things are actually, had some time worked on, and they can actually do a bunch of cool stuff. Because in Modern Warfare, not every gun is being put into it. Like there's an SMG called the MPX, and it's actually really cool looking. Normally, I'll go over a build to show you how to build it, but it's actually based off of another AR platform to go over. But right now we're going over to AK-47, as you can already see. And what we're going to be doing is three builds. We're going to turn the AK-47 into the more modern version of it called the AK-12. After that, we're going to turn it into an SMG called the AK-74U. Very iconic. I believe that was in Black Ops 1, and it was very, very much used there. That's actually the first time that it was introduced in any Call of Duty game. And then we're going to turn it into the RPD, which is an LMG version of it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I just selected the base AK-47. There's no blueprint, anything involved, so we're just going to go off of the vanilla version of the gun. So let's go ahead and get started. We want to go ahead and start with the barrel, and we want to go with the very first one that it gives you access to, which is the Spetsnaz Elite, the heavyweight barrel used for special forces. It's been it increases muzzle velocity, improved range with additional weight. So this is like the weird in-between barrel of, I think every assault rifle has one, but it's a barrel that doesn't give you the max amount of like recoil control and stuff like that, but it's still giving you a fair boost. Like, it's pretty dang good for what it gives you, and it'll still make it to where that your gun is pretty light. Like, it doesn't hit you really hard, but also gives you a pretty good amount of boost to it. It's nowhere near as good as like the very longer barrels, but that will also weigh your gun down a lot. So this is like the good sweet spot in between. So this is why uh, I would normally be using this for any of my assault rifles, but you do need this in order to make the AK-12. So we want to go ahead and select that. Now that also makes the end of your AK black looking, and it does make it, in my opinion, a little bit cooler looking. Now from there, we want to go to ammunition, and we want to go to the second one, which is the 5.45 by 39 millimeter 30 round mags. Now this is a conversion kit that we will also use for the AK-74U, and what this does is increases our fire rate and our recoil control. Now it does say it decreases our damage. It does not decrease our damage. Well, technically it does in an extent. So what this thing does, the AK-47, it's a 3-shot kill without the ammo conversion. With the ammo conversion, it's still a 3-shot kill to about 19 meters, if I'm not mistaken, which is a pretty reasonable amount. But then it cuts off to being a 4-shot kill a little bit past that, and all the way down as long as you're hitting upper torso. So really, this ammo conversion doesn't really cut down on your damage. It just cuts down on your damage range. That's why it says like minus range at the bottom there. So take it as a damage range reduction. It doesn't really take off your damage at all. It just makes it to where that your effective damage range is taken down a little bit, and it's not really a big of a difference between like the normal rounds in this. So I want to go with that. So what this will do is still gives it its good killing potential, while also making it towards a little bit longer range. From there, we want to go with the optic. Now, you don't really need to use the optic if you don't want to, but I would use the APX5 holographic scope, so it looks a lot like this. And that would usually go with most like real life kind of counterpart to the AK-47. Now from there, you can either select one of the two. You can go with the close quarter stock or the Forge Tac Ultralight. Now the close quarter stock gives you aim down sight speed. It gives you more of that little like black color on the back, so in my opinion that probably looks better. Or you can go with the Forge Tac Ultralight, and this will give you aim walking movement speed, which will also give you that really cool looking thing. But I want to go with the close quarter stock right now for the ADS speed, and that's practically the whole build for the AK-12. So it just gives you a faster rate of fire, and gives you a little bit more range, downrange. Gives you the scope. You don't need the scope on it. You don't need the stock on there. If you want to, you could probably run sleight of hand. The reload speed for an AK is actually really dang good. If you would want to, you can also put on a command of foregrip if you don't want to put on the stock. You can always put that on. So it kind of looks like that. It's probably a better looking deal. That can help out with your recoil and stuff. So really, this is a pretty solid build for the AK-12, the newer version of it. So that one's really easy to build. It works really dang well. I've had several builds like that. I can actually show gameplay on there next video or anything like that. But let's go ahead and get rid of all that. And now we're going to work on the AK-74U, which is the SMG version of it. Now most of you guys already know how to do this. It was very quickly learned in the beginning of the game. But for you guys that are probably just now jumping on the Modern Warfare, you don't really know a whole lot about it. This is what we do. We go back to the barrels again, and we want to go to the third selecting barrel, which is the 8.1 inch compact barrel. This will obviously give you the SMG look to it. This will give you an ADS time, or aim down sight speed increase, so you can get to the point of like hip firing to aim down sight of the gun way faster. Since you are taking off a large amount of the barrel, that's a lot of weight that's been taken off your gun, so it'll make it to where you can move a little bit faster, but at the same time it'll also drop or give you two cons, because the barrel, the longer the barrel is, the heavier it gets, but also weighs the gun down. So every time it shoots, when it kicks up, a whole lot of that weight is still pressing down on it. So it doesn't really move up as fast. Like it will still move up because the gun is shooting really dang fast, so it doesn't really have time to recenter. But this will make it to where recoil is way off because the barrel's a lot shorter, so it doesn't have that much weight on it anymore. And because of the barrel not being as long, the bullet can't speed up in it through the rifling and such, so the bullet velocity is incredibly reduced. Damage range is also reduced, but they don't show you that because it is a smaller barrel. Since the bullet velocity is lower, you got to compensate for bullet drop, and it just makes it to where it's a little bit weaker. From there, like I said before, while we're making the AK-12, and we want to go down to the conversion kit. It does exactly the same thing, like I said before. It gives you that 3-shot kill potential while also having a 4-shot kill a pretty good ways out. Now this makes it to where it's very competitive. It is actually now, I believe, slightly behind in fire rate with the MP5. So this thing is, it's up there with the MP5 right now. Like as you guys know, the MP5 is arguably one of the best SMGs in the game, and this is kind of what they went with here. Or this is like the very close, I don't know, different version of it. Now originally the 545 ammunition, it was not very good. It just made it to where it was a 4-shot kill from all distances, but when you try to put it onto an assault rifle like this, it didn't really work out a whole lot. But they did buff it, so now it's actually up there with a bunch. From there, you would want to go with the stock. Now you can either do two things. You can probably go with the nose stock, make it to where it's a little bit faster moving like that. It makes it to where it looks really odd, but that gives it more of its more rushing kind of deal. Or you can go with the skeleton stock, which gives it this cool looking look to it for the back end, which I think probably looks the best with it. But you can always go with the basic stock as well. But I want to go with this one because it looks better, or to me anyway. Now from there, I'll just go to sleight of hand. This is practically all you need. You just need the skeleton stock, the compact barrel, and the ammo conversion, the 545 by 39. And from there you can do whatever you want. I'll probably go with sleight of hand, and for the muzzle, monolithic suppressor, so I can get that bullet velocity back up. And only gives you a little bit of weight because right now you have the smallest barrel, so that increases your ADS time. Ammunition, that increases recoil control, and it also increases your fire rate but doesn't drop off any kind of weight. And you also got the skeleton stock, which increases your ADS time by a ton and your aim walking movement speed. So it's like the 4-stack ultralight and the no stock combined, but it'll give you both of those pluses, but it will knock it down a little bit to where it's not as effective as using those one attachments. So it's like the combination of the both, but not so much of the SAT. So there you guys go. That is the AK-74U. With the suppressor combined, you don't need it on there, but I think that helps out a ton when it comes to range. So it makes it to where it's really, really solid for a build for the AK. Alright, so now let's go ahead and remove the attachments. Now we go on to making this thing to one of my favorite builds, is the RPD LMG. Now this one is really, really cool because there's two ways that you can build this, and it's pretty dang solid. So let's go ahead and go to the barrels. Now we want to do, or not the RPD, my bad, it's the RPK LMG. So right off the bat, the second barrel, which is actually listed the 23-inch RPK barrel, this will give you damage range. The second, well, I believe it is, yeah, it will give you the second best recoil control. Bullet velocity has also been bumped up a ton because it is a much larger barrel, and recoil is also going to be bumped up a ton because it's a much larger barrel, so that's a lot more weight on the end of your gun. This makes it to where then it has an incredible amount of range for it. This is technically turning it into an LMG, so it's an RPK here. The cons, it will give you a massive ADS penalty. I believe it's about 3 frames if I'm not mistaken. So it does knock down your in-down sight speed by a pretty good amount. Movement speed's been knocked down by 2% if I'm not mistaken. So this thing does make you a lot slower and less mobile, but it will help out for longer ranges. So right now, definitely do not use this thing in close quarters or anything like that. You would want this build to be further out. The AK-74U is more for close range, and the AK-12 is like in that weird sweet spot. It's pretty average and everything there. From there, you want to go with the bipod, and that will make it to where that you can stack both of these things together. So you have the recoil control of the barrel, and you also can crouch or lay down. Proning with the bipod, people don't ever go over this detail, but going prone with a bipod increases your recoil or recoil control even more than if you were crouching. So it does make it to where you're a lot more accurate there. So if you're laying down and you have the barrel on and the bipod, your gun will barely move up. It's going to barely do anything. It turns the gun that's second worst when it comes to recoil to being one of the tops when it comes to recoil. So it gives you this really cool looking thing here. For ammunition, we're going to still keep the 7.62 like the basic round, and we're just going to put on the 75 round drum mag. So that will make it to where it looks more like an LMG kind of ammunition there, or kind of fit to the look. You know, it's a lot slower. Again, it gives you ADS penalty. I believe that's another about 2 to 3 frames, about as much as the barrel. And the movement speed about 1%, because it is a magazine thing, so it doesn't hit it as hard when it comes to movement speed. But that's still a lot more weight that's been put on there. And for the stock, we want to go with the very obvious Field LMG stock. It'll give you aiming stability. Pretty straightforward. And that is all 4 attachments that you can use to build the RPK LMG. Now, if I were you, I would probably just get yourself a scope, like a sniper scope or something. I know that looks really weird. If you don't want to do that, you can probably find something else that'll kind of fit you, like I don't know, Scout Combat Optic. And then kind of use that to make it to where you can stretch a little bit further down range. You can see people down there. If you don't want to do that, you can probably put on a muzzle, like the muzzle brake right here, and that'll help out with your recoil stabilization, and you got yourself one heck of a laser of a gun. So it looks really dang cool. So that's one way for you to build it. The other one is that you can use the Romanian barrel, which gives you the best recoil control, bolt velocity, damage range. It's same stats for the ADS, like all the other cons though. It's exact same length and stuff, and it's also a brighter looking wood, looks like on there. But when you use this thing, it blocks the underbarrel, so you can't use the bipod to combine with it. So that's what I mean, like you can have 2 ways of building that there. You can also put on the 75, the field stock right there. I don't know, probably put on like slide hand or something, reload faster, or fully load it if you want to, so you just sit up there forever. But this is the second way for you to build the gun, and that's just using the Romanian barrel. And that's practically the best recoil control you can get out of the barrel. But personally, I'll use the long barrel and the bipod to get you the most out of it. But there you guys go. That's 3 builds for the AK-47. Again, you can always use the AK-47. Uh, if you want to just use the base version of that, I recommend using the 40 round mag. Then bump it up a little bit, the Spetsnaz Elite, because the AK-12 thing, that's like the sweet middle. This is kind of my personal build if I'll be using this gun. Sleight of hand so I can get ammunition in faster, and the skeleton stock. Kind of making it more of like a black kind of finish looking thing here. Probably for the bottom one, I would run the muzzle brake to help out with that recoil stabilization, or you can actually put on the Commando foregrip, which gives it that recoil stabilization. This is kind of the build I would run in game, so it makes it to where it's pretty light, but it also gives you a pretty good amount of ammunition and range to it. So that's my personal build. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, I can go over the MPX build for the M13 assault rifle, and there's also going to be the Honey Badger build, which I'm pretty sure you guys know of for the most part. But there's tons of stuff that you can make out of these base assault rifles, SMGs, or anything like that. This is one thing that it does have over Cold War that I really wish Cold War did do, but they're turning into Ubisoft. They're like a copy and paste, I don't know, game studio. So it is what it is. Infinity Ward is going to be probably my best because they actually try to put time into their game. Even if this one wasn't really as light as much as the other games, it is definitely up there to being some of the best. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.